we've got a polished, look at that, a polished hammer face, almost to where it looks like it's chrome plated. You know, the old style, you know, like a bumper from the 50s. But it's not just pretty. It's not just for looks. There's a purpose. There's a reason why you'd want to have a polished, smooth hammer face. Let's take a dive into this one. So today we're gonna work on hammers. Boring, I know. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this great big giant ball peen hammer. I want to put a mirror polish on that face. And you're going, John, why are you bothering? Why are you wasting your time putting a mirror polish on the face of a ball peen hammer? Well, in gunsmithing, for example, if I need to tap on maybe something from a screw head or maybe even the side of a receiver, and I want to have a nice smooth hammer face so I don't imprint whatever texture, whatever damage, whatever gouges are on that hammer face. I don't put that texture onto the nice smooth surface I'm working on. If it's something like a screw head where I'm going to try to hammer or tap that screw head back into shape, I don't want to be putting little dimples and little rough surface on it from transferring it from my hammer face. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this great big giant ugly hammer and we're going to smooth it out, and I'll show you how you put a mirror polish on the face of a ball peen hammer. All right, so I've got that big ball peen hammer now secured in my vise. So I'm gonna take my flat mill bastard, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go across the face of this hammer, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to take that steel down. I'm gonna take it down, keep working with this file, so I can take all the little tiny dents and scratches out of it. Let's see. I'll show you. Let me get this thing started. And we can kind of, now that we're kind of getting a little shine to it, you can kind of see where all the imperfections are. All right, let's go take a look at some of these imperfections. We'll get a close up here. I don't know if you're picking this up or not, but you can see there's some pretty big dents basically in the face of this hammer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep filing, keep smoothing, and keep rubbing on this thing until I get the whole surface down and eliminate the dents. So what I'm doing is take all the high spots and bring them down to the level of the low spots. All right, so after just a couple of minutes, using a nice new sharp file, I was able to take this hammer face down. And what I did is while I was filing this, every stroke that I took, I tried to do it in the same direction. All right, so now I've got this nice smooth hammer face, but you'll look and you'll see there's a lot of little scratches left from that file. But all my scratches are going in the same direction because I've been filing in the same direction. I'm not all over the place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some coarse sandpaper, and I'm going to go perpendicular to those scratches. So I'm going to turn 90 degrees. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do with this coarse sandpaper, I'm going to start going opposite, or not opposite, but perpendicular to all those gouges, all those scratches, all those scrapes that are left from the file, and I'm going to use that coarse sandpaper to kind of eliminate those. So as I sand, any scratches I see that are perpendicular to the way I'm stroking, I need to keep going till those disappear. All right, so let's start with some coarse sandpaper and we'll get rid of those file marks. All right, so I'm working perpendicular to the way I went with the file. Now all my scratches from the sandpaper are going the same direction. So any scratches that I see going the opposite direction, or across that direction, are the ones that are left from the file. I'll keep sanding until all those disappear. So once all my scratches now are going this other direction, then I'll know that I've got rid of all of my file marks. Okay, I'm going handheld. Let's see if I can get this here. But you'll see now all my scratches are going in the same direction. All right, so I use that coarse sandpaper, and I got rid of all those file marks. See how all the scratches now go in the same direction? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a finer sandpaper and I'm going to go across those scratches. So I got rid of all the file marks, Now I'm going to take some fine sandpaper and get rid of these coarse sandpaper scratches. So I'll go perpendicular to the coarse sandpaper scratches with a finer sandpaper. All right, this is one of the reasons I like working with a swivel vise, is all I'd had to do is just turn the vise about 90 degrees. Now I'll take my finer sandpaper, this is I believe 320 grit. Now I'm going to go perpendicular to the scratches that were left by the, I believe that was 180 grit. And now I'm just going to go perpendicular to those till all those coarse sandpaper scratches are gone by using the fine sandpaper. So let's go perpendicular, and we'll just keep going with this fine sandpaper. We'll remove all the scratches that were left from the coarse sandpaper. But again, all my work is going to go perpendicular to those scratches that I just did a minute ago. So once all those perpendicular scratches are gone, I know I've got rid of all the coarse sandpaper scratches. I'm just working now with the fine sandpaper, and this just takes a little bit of time. All right, so we did the one direction with the file, did the opposite direction with the coarse sandpaper, went back to the same file direction now with the fine sandpaper, and if you look, I've already kind of got a pretty good finish on there, just that 320 grit sandpaper. For most of your work, if you're doing a little bit of work on guns, that's probably as smooth as you really need to go. I just want to go just one step farther. I'm going to buff it and polish it, and we'll take all those little fine scratches out now. All right, so let's go polish this thing. Like I said, we're awful close here. You can kind of see the reflection of my fingers. We're awful close. That's a very smooth finish with just file strokes, coarse paper, fine paper. All right, so you could stop there. You got a nice smooth hammer. You're not going to put any kind of damage onto your work. Let's just go one step further, and we'll just buff this out. All right, so now we've moved over to it's a bench grinder, I know, but I just put a buffing wheel on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit of that buffing compound onto the buffing wheel. This is kind of a coarse compound, kind of a coarse wheel. We'll put a little polish to that hammer face, and then we might move to a finer wheel and a finer compound, and we'll maybe get a real nice mirror finish out of this. All right, so I'm just going to do a little bit of buffing, and this is noisy, so I'm not going to film it, and then we'll take a look and see where we're at when we're done. All right, so the wheel's spinning down. I just got done hitting it with that coarse polish, and you see we're getting a little closer to a mirror finish. Now I'm going to change wheels. I'm going to put on the finer buffing wheel, the finer compound, and we'll take this thing to a nice, polished, nice, big, smooth, like I said, mirror finish. All right, bear with me. All right, the finer wheel still spinning down. I just got done with this, and as you can see now, that really is just like a mirror. All right, so it went from being an old ugly hammer to look at that, a beautiful mirror finish on there. All right, then I know this was going a little bit far. This is beyond what you'd want to do for your gunsmithing or your work in hammer, but that's the point. Is if I did hammer on this, I'm not going to leave any gouges, I'm not going to transfer the imperfections on the face of this onto my work surface. Did I go too far? Yeah, but what the hell? This wasn't so bad, right? Kind of fun. But you can see what can be done with just a hammer face. And all we just went from a file, coarse paper, fine paper, a coarse polish to a fine polish, and that's what we end up with. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. And really didn't take much time at all. And it was kind of a fun project.